Today we're going to talk about how lip products can enhance men's lips in subtle and natural ways. And I'm going to swatch all of my favorite tinted balms, shea lipsticks and liners so you can find the perfect one for you. We'll get right into it. I just wanted to say hi, I am Mattis. My videos are for you if you like natural, effortless makeup that enhances masculine features and boosts confidence. I used to be a London-based makeup artist and worked for incredible brands like Chanel, Dior, Hermes and Charlotte Tilbury, and even got to model. I know how male models are made up backstage to really bring out their bone structure and make them look their best. And I want to share this knowledge so you can look and feel better on a daily basis. If this sounds good to you, make sure to subscribe and say hi in the comments. Now get yourself a drink, relax, and we'll begin. Now personally, lip color was always something that I was kind of intimidated by. It just felt something that if I would put it on, it would immediately look really obvious and really feminize my look. Over the years, I really learned that lip products are literally for everyone. Everyone can benefit from them. It just depends on finding the right one for you. You know, when you try lip products, there's a few things you want to consider, starting with your own skin tone and the color of your lips. Now, because this is my personal collection and I only have myself as a model, the lip products I'm talking about work really well on my skin tone and on similar skin tones. So please feel free to adapt this advice to yourself and be patient with yourself. It might take a few trial and errors to find your perfect products, but even just a search and trying out different things can be so much fun. But essentially what you want to look out for in lip products is a slight evening out of the lip color, potentially an adding of hydration and a perfecting of the lip shape. But yeah, essentially with lip products, you just want them to make your lips look better. And of course, you can also experiment and go for more vibrant shades and reds and deep burgundies, etc. But this video is really about a very natural approach to lips. Now, I've actually been wearing a whole lip combo with a liner and a tinted lip balm this entire intro. So let me know if it was obvious to you or not. So this is kind of the lip look I am usually after. And we're going to remove it so you can see how it looks without. Just using some micellar water on a cotton wipe. And ideally you will see how my lips look smaller and a little less defined. This is completely without any lip products. Now I want to first show you how I prep my lips. You can either use a lip balm. I actually love using the Prep and Prime by MAC, which is a balm that also fills in any lip lines and just makes sure that everything lasts even longer. I really love this because it's matte and oftentimes balms leave quite a shiny finish, which is not always what I want. You can see how that literally blurred any lip lines. But again, you can use any lip balm. Ideally in the daytime, a lip balm with SPF is fantastic. But if it's late in the day, this is a great prep. Now we're gonna start with a lip liner. And my absolute favorites are by MAC. I really suit the color Subculture, which is sort of a rosy, browny nude. And this perfectly mimics the color of my lips. What I love about the MAC lip liners is that they're sort of buildable. Even if you go across the line multiple times, they don't really build up in that sort of crusty, sort of bad way. They really smooth over themselves and you can really build up the lip line so effortlessly and in a very natural way. For a more affordable alternative, the NYX lip liners are fantastic and they come in so many different shades. The shade I really love is called Natural and actually it looks a lot pinker compared to the MAC Subculture, but on the lips it really works for me. So when you shop for your own lip liner, you really want to make sure you swatch it on your hand. If you're in store and there's a makeup artist around, you can ask them to try the lip liner on you because they will make sure that it's sanitary. But what I wouldn't do is take the lip liner directly from the drugstore shelf and put it on like this, because you never know who touched the lip liner before, who had them on their mouth, and you might catch on something nasty, so you really don't want to do that. But ideally you want to swatch it on the back of your hand, and you know, if you're in the drugstore, you might have to try a few different options. That's actually why going to a makeup counter directly and asking a makeup artist is always ideal. But yeah, for lip liners, I highly recommend you try MAC, or for drugstore alternatives, either NYX is fantastic or the Maybelline ink crayon. What are they called? I always forget. Superstay ink crayons. They actually have really good colors, really good nudes. On me, the color Trust Your Gut is really perfect. The great thing about these is that you can use them to line your lips, but also you can use them all over for lip color. But for today, I'm going to use MAC Subculture and I'm going to show you how you can line your lips. This is completely optional, by the way. You don't need to line your lips in order to use a lip product, but lip liners can really help you to perfect the lip shape and also make your lips look bigger if your lips are a bit smaller or you just like the look of bigger lips. Now, my bottom lip is fairly big compared to my upper lip. My upper lip is just a little bit smaller, which is natural and normal and completely fine, but I just love making them look a little bit enhanced and more balanced. So I actually can't speak while doing this so well, but I'm gonna try my best. Essentially, the way I like to do it is to start in the center of the lip and just go slightly outside the line with the liner. Really try to respect the shape you naturally have. You can still change it and enhance it slightly, but you want to keep in mind what you are born with. So I like to really enhance the shape and, make those two round bits, I don't know what they're called, but just like round them out even further and just add visual volume. And once that is done, connecting this shape to the outer corner of the lips. So just following that shape we naturally have and going slightly outside the line. So you can really see the comparison. This is with the line and this is without. So I'm going to fill in this part here and really make sure you go all the way into the corner. Otherwise, when you open your mouth like this, you'll be able to see a gap in between. Once the top lip is done, I also do the bottom. Now, some people even have smaller bottom lips. So in that case, I would focus more on the bottom lip, but I always mainly focus on the upper lip and then create a little bit of a line along the bottom lip as well. Just again, going slightly outside the line. Now, compared to how they looked before, they are much bigger now. A little extra step that you absolutely don't have to do, but I just want to show you what I like to do, is then create a little bit more of a shadow with the Whirl lip liner, which is just a hint deeper than Subculture. And right along the lip edge, right there, there's a little bit of a reflection that almost makes the lip look a bit more obvious. That almost shows where the real lip ends and where the liner ends. So I just like to fill in right in between that, right along this line, just to make it look even more realistic. Now I love the shape, but it still looks a little bit too harsh. So either now you go in with your finger and slightly soften the edge, or what I love to do is taking a little bit of powder and just buffing in the lip edge. Now these are all really extra steps. This is not something I do every single day. If I run out the door, I might just do a little bit of lip liner and then apply lip product and be done. But I want to show you all the steps you can take to really create that perfect look. For example, for a night out, for a special event, if there's photography, or if you're going to be on video. And then again, you can decide how far you want to take it. But yeah, we're taking a little bit of this powder and really buffing in the lip line. And this will have two amazing benefits. One of them being it will soften the lip line and make it look even more natural, but also it will really increase the longevity of the lip line. And with lip liner, this is really something you want to stay in place. That's why I love the lip liners by MAC, because they really stay in place very well. But using these little tricks can even increase the longevity further. And now you can't tell me that this doesn't look incredibly natural. My lips are a lot bigger than before. The shape is perfected, but to my eye at least, they look really natural. Please let me know what you think. Now, when this step is done, you can go in with your tinted balm, a lip gloss, a sheer lipstick, anything you desire. And I'm going to show you how to make it work, but also I'm going to swatch all of my favorite ones that I have. I'm going to start with the one outlier of all of the products I have in front of me, because this is actually not a sort of nude color at all. It's Clinique Black Honey, which of course is famous. It's gone viral many, many times. And this is a very sheer product. I'm going to swatch all of them here so we can really compare. But this essentially is a really sheer berry sort of color that is perfect if you just want to slightly deepen your lip color, but without looking too obvious. The funny thing about this, of course, is that it looks really dark and dramatic in the bullet. But when you apply this, and again, I'm going to zoom you in for this. When you apply this, it goes on so sheerly and it just deposits the right amount of color. It just looks like you've been kissed. You just had a makeout session or something. And the great thing is that it's also hydrating at the same time. In my case, it just looks like my lips, but a little bit more flushed and enhanced. If your lips are quite pale a lot, this will immediately bring back that color, but without looking too obvious and lipsticky. Now, personally, I go through different phases. I do have phases where I want more color in my lips, but I often want to almost take back some color in my lips. And I'm going to show you a few options that really do that almost take back a little bit of the natural redness you have in your lip and make your lips look a little bit more subdued. Subdued? Is that really a word? It sounds like a subdued. That sounds really wrong. Please let me know in the comments how you say subdue. I think subdue is the word. A little bit more subtle. I like when the lips are enhanced in their shape. I like when the lips are evened out, but a little bit less vibrant, a little bit less red. So I'm just gonna remove the lip color without harming the liner. And we're gonna swatch one of the lip products I've been using the most in recent months. And this is actually a matte formula that has more coverage than the Clinique one, but that's okay because we can dab it on and we can really control how much coverage we get. So this one is called Viva Planet and it's by MAC. It's part of their really famous Viva Glam line. And it's a really light, natural, rosy nude shade. It's actually funny how they kind of look similar next to each other, even though they're completely different in the bullet. Now you can see how there's some redness and unevenness in my lip, and this blotted onto the lip will take down some of that redness and make the lips look more even. Now it's very close to my natural lip color, just a hint lighter, which is great because it kind of reduces the contrast between my lip shape and the color of my skin. Now something to consider when you think of applying lip products on men's faces, that if you go very high contrast to the rest of your face, so for example if you go with a bright red lip, the contrast between skin color and lip color will give you more of a feminine look to the face. However, if the contrast is very low, for example if I slightly lighten my lips and make it resemble my skin color a little bit more, it will make the appearance ever so slightly more masculine. We can express ourselves in whatever ways we like. But if your goal is to enhance the lip shape and potentially make your lips look a little bit bigger, to balance that look and still bring out your male features, you can really experiment with slightly lighter lip colors. And if you have a similar skin tone to me, MAC Viva Planet is a great option for that. I also love that because it's a matte formula, it sort of blurs the lip lines and makes everything just look like your lips but better. I also want to show you what happens when you go too light with your lips, and I'm going to use Creme de Nude by MAC as an example. We're going to go in brand order, so this is the MAC section and then after that a different brand and then after that a different brand, just to get some order into all of this. So MAC Creme de Nude is a really nice formula. It's a little bit more of a moisturizing finish and it's a very beautiful, slightly rosy light nude. But compared to Viva Planet, it's actually quite a bit brighter. So much so that you can barely see it on my skin. This I used to use a lot. I just very gently blotted it on. So this is what we're gonna do now. Just to ever so slightly lighten up the lip color and then just buff it in. But yeah, you can see even though it's a really bright color, when you apply this in a sheer way, it still gives you a very beautiful effect. I'm quite tan though at the moment, so on me it still looks a little bit too light, but if you have lighter skin than me, this might be a really good option. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like if I apply this full on, and I think it's gonna look a little bit intense. And yeah, you can see it literally gives a concealer lips look. And because it's so intense now, it kind of backfired and it doesn't really enhance the masculine features in my face at all. But if you apply it sheerly, it can look great. So I'm just gonna take that down. And what we can really learn from this is, you know, there's so much nuance. When it comes to makeup, we often see a bright, intense color. Like this House Labs blush that is a bright orange, almost looks neon and looks like something that could never look natural on the skin. But actually, this is the blush I am wearing today. Would you have thought that? When we think of makeup, and especially when men think of makeup, they always have this image of bright red lipstick, of intense lashes, of high coverage foundation. But most of the products that are out there can be adapted, can be used to achieve a very natural effect that really suits you and really brings out your features. One and the same product can yield very different effects. It just depends how you use it. That being said, we're going to move on to our last MAC lipstick, and this is Blankety. And this is actually one that I've fallen in love with in sort of the last 3 weeks. So I'm going to show you right next to the other two. And this, I want to say, is sort of a cross in between the other two I showed you. Blankety is great because it adds additional hydration, but it's also a little bit lighter than Viva Planet, which is the first MAC lipstick I showed you. So again, it's sort of this beautiful rosy nude that's just a hint lighter than my skin tone. So really buffed into the skin, it just evens out the lips, it adds some hydration, but it looks really natural at the same time. And something to note is you don't need multiple nudes. You are fine with just one. You don't need as many as I do. But you know, this is my profession, this is my career, and I just love collecting these and comparing these. But for you, one is enough, or having a few different options for different occasions is also great. Now we're gonna explore some luxury options. These are both from Chanel, before then going into some more approachable and affordable options for you. But these two are just so beautiful if you really want to treat yourself. These are called the Rouge Coco Flash by Chanel in the color Boy and in the color Destination. We're gonna start with Boy from Chanel. This is from the Rouge Coco Flash line, and it's a very sheer line that gives a bit of a glow and a little bit of hydration to the lips, but while looking really effortless and natural. First, you really gotta get into this packaging. It's just so beautiful, really elevated. And then you see this really special color. Really interested to see how it looks next to the MAC lipsticks, because yeah, just as I expected, it's much more of a sheer formula. So this is great if you're kind of intimidated by the other products I showed you. It's super easy to apply. You sort of don't even have to look into a mirror while doing so. Very subtle Chanel scent, but it's not overwhelming by any stretch of the imagination. And it just slightly tones down the natural lip color you have. So again, with any redness in my lips, this slightly takes it down, evens my lip color out, and gives a bit of hydration. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. This is such an interesting color because it's almost like an ashy sort of nude. Never stress about the way it first goes on because I always lightly buff it in after application. And you can see what a beautiful finish that leaves on the lips. You know, it's so incredibly subtle, and there's art to subtlety. You know, there's so often videos I post where people are like, nothing changed and it's a waste of time and all these things, which is totally fair, but I don't really want to achieve an incredibly dramatic result. My goal with my channel is to give you natural results, to give you ways to include such beautiful things as makeup in your daily life, but in a way that's enhancing of your natural features, in ways that are just slightly understated and still give you results and still are effective, but you know, in an elevated way that really makes you feel and look your best. You know, I used to experiment a lot with makeup and it was a lot of fun, but what I found was that when I had quite a dramatic look on my face, I sort of would often be thinking about that in my head all day. And it sometimes doesn't really allow you to go into the world really feeling confident, but sort of constantly being aware of something being on your face, which again is not wrong. There's nothing wrong about experimentation and having fun and being creative with makeup. I still absolutely love experimenting with eyeshadow, for example, or liners, but on a day-to-day basis, I just want those little luxuries that just elevate and enhance my look. And Chanel Boy is exactly that. Now there's a second one I have from the same line, and it's the color Destination. Now here they are side by side. This is Boy and this is Destination. It looks like Boy is a little bit darker. However, the coverage in Boy is more on the sheer side, whereas Destination has a little bit more intense color. But they're both sort of in that very neutral, rosy, nude camp. And I'm going to show you what Destination looks like swatched besides Boy and the other one. So again, it's a very hydrating formula, so I'm not sure it shows up perfectly. But this, I have to say, is probably one of my top threes out of all of them. This I've been wearing so much. It just gives me exactly the effect I want. It slightly evens out the lips. It slightly takes back the color. It adds hydration, and it does all of that in this beautiful design. So I'm just gonna take down the previous Chanel lip and we're gonna apply the color Destination. Now again, I like to blot this one on, always starting on the lower lip. I don't know why. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. But immediately I feel that very buttery feel of these on my lips. I then just slightly push them around or just blot my lips together like this. It just looks a bit funny on camera. But yeah, it really gives a beautiful hydrated look to the lips. It has evened them out and it just looks perfect. This is, I think, maybe my number one. For a shiny formula, for a matte formula, it would be MAC Viva Planet. I love all of them. I use all of them. But yeah, at the moment, at least, on this very day, this is my favorite. But hang in there because I have something that's very, very comparable to Destination by Chanel, but that is a lot more affordable. So wait until the end. Actually, in comparison, the Chanel Destination has a little bit more warmth to it than the MAC lipsticks I swatched here, which actually, because I'm so bronzed up at the moment, I feel works a little bit better. But when I'm on the paler side, the MAC lipsticks sort of are the perfect color for me. So yeah, there is something to having the right shade for different seasons, for example. You might be a little bit more bronzed, a little bit darker in the summer, and a little bit more on the fair side in the winter. So having a few different options is actually not bad at all. As a next one, we're going to look at the only K-Beauty lip product I have in this collection. I definitely need to try out more K-Beauty lip products because K-Beauty is just incredible. The formulas, the science that goes into them, the skincare, it's all on such a high level. So yeah, I definitely need to try more. So please let me know if you know any good ones I need to try. In general, not only K-Beauty, but any sort of natural, nudie, rosy, beautiful lip products that you love, any tinted lip balms, please let me know about them because I need to try them. But yeah, this is the Juicy Lasting Tint by the brand Rom&nd, which is one of my favorite brands. They, for example, make this incredible contour palette that I can't stop talking about with these really silky powders that look just like skin and give you the perfect contour effect. So I already know that Rom&nd is fantastic, but this is actually a product I bought in the summer and I used a lot. It gives a beautiful effect. I would say it is a little bit more saturated than the other lip products I have swatched here, in my memory at least. But let's give it a swatch, and immediately this actually has a bit of a scent. It's more of a glossy lip tint formula, so it actually doesn't swatch as easily because it really shears out. Now this is interesting because it hydrates the lips, but it also leaves a tint behind. So it's a slightly different concept. It also comes in this sort of doe foot applicator, which is a nice way to apply. And yeah, in comparison to the other colors, it just has a little bit more punch to it. It's a little bit more of that rusty, slightly reddish color. I mean, it's not red at all, but it has more brown red tones than the other nudes on my chest. But because it's quite sheer, it still looks really natural on the lips. Now the scent is a funny one. It's sort of fruity, which is usually not my preferred scent. This is, in the summer it's really nice because it's almost like a fruit yogurt scent, so it's really refreshing. But it's down to your preference. I usually like a subtle scent or more of a warm sort of vanilla-y scent. This is definitely more on the sweet sort of popsicle side. But yeah, let's zoom in again and swatch. Now I'm actually surprised that my lips don't feel that dry or irritated yet, but it really speaks for the formulas that we're using here. They're all sort of nourishing, or at least not sensitizing to the lips. This is the color 22 Pomelo Skin, by the way, which is an interesting name. And actually it does have some coverage. It's not completely sheer. It kind of reminds me of, you know, there was this trend going around, was it in China, where people were trying to sort of dupe this lip color. There was a photo of a little bunny that had its tongue out. The girls just went mad over the color of the bunny's tongue, which sounds so bizarre, but if you see the photo, it's a sort of really pretty pinky color. And this kind of reminds me of that, or rather of the finish that these girls were after. You know, that sort of hydrated, slightly popsicle look to the lips, when your lips look a bit shiny and have a tint of color. Once I buff it in, it actually gives a really beautiful, subtle effect. It didn't take my lip color down as much, I wouldn't say. It didn't take down the redness of my lips. It's not one of those ones that are lighter than the lips, at least in my case. But if you have slightly deeper lips than mine or slightly more pigmented, then this might be a great, very, very natural option for you. There's something really sweet about this color. It really feels quite summery, and I feel like in the summer, this is something that I will bring out again and wear a lot again. But at the moment, I am looking for something a little bit less vibrant and even more nude. But what do you think of this color? Do you like it on me? Do you think it suits me? It also feels more hydrating on the lips, which is nice. But we're gonna take it off, and now we're gonna look at some more affordable drugstore options. The brand we're gonna talk about is NYX, because they truly have some of the best drugstore lip products. Starting with a matte option and then going on to the more shiny hydrating ones. This is called Smooth Whip, and this always gets me. The scent of this is so good. It's the color Pancake Stacks. And does it smell like pancakes? I don't know. I don't really think of pancakes. I think of like pecan. There's like a pecan pie sort of vibe. It's sort of nutty, sweet, something very edible and sort of delicious. But this one is quite high in coverage and quite matte, but we're gonna swatch it right next to the other ones, and you can immediately see this has a lot more brown to it. It's darker in color and it's also more pigmented, so I'm excited to see how it looks on my lips in comparison to the other ones. You know, for a day-to-day basis, I recommend matte formulas as much as shiny hydrating formulas. I don't really tend to recommend full-on matte liquid lipsticks, and I feel like this sort of falls into that camp a bit more. It's a matte lip cream, so it's pigmented, but it's also not as easy to make it look very natural. But let's look at it up close. I'm going to attempt to make this look subtle and natural. So I'm gonna build it up very slowly and buff it in immediately. Now, even though it is matte, because it's a cream, it doesn't feel extremely drying on the lips, which is good. And yeah, you can immediately see, even though I applied a very small amount, it does look a little bit more covering. It looks a little bit more intense. And I'm really trying to buff it in and see. But yeah, this is definitely not one of the ones that I use on a daily basis. I barely use this. It's a very beautiful, slightly rosy brown nude. And it doesn't look bad, but it just slightly hangs onto little dry bits. It doesn't have the same smoothing over everything quality that some of the other lip products have. However, the benefit of a formula like this is the longevity. Usually matte formulas last a lot longer, and this one does last really, really well. It really creates almost like a stain-like effect. So if you were to use this, I would suggest to almost put it onto the finger and then blot it onto the lip, so it doesn't even get the chance to dry too much into your lips before you get the opportunity to blend. I mean, actually, the longer I look at it, the less I mind it. It doesn't look bad. It just doesn't give me everything I want. So it's like halfway there, but not fully there. What do you think? We're gonna compare it to a slightly newer formula that NYX launched, and these are the fat oil sticks, I believe they're called. And these are much more of a sort of glossy, hydrating finish. Now they come in this sort of click mechanism pen, which actually is really satisfying. Also, something about the name fat oil is sort of satisfying. It just sounds like something quite innovative. It feels like a hybrid of a lip gloss, but also sort of a tinted balm. It's a very interesting product, and I'm gonna show you what it looks like swatched next to the other ones. And here you can see the color. It actually is a really beautiful color. Again, we have a little bit more warmth to it, a little bit more of that rusty shade. It looks fairly similar to the Rom&nd lip tint that we tried earlier. They both have that sort of rusty, I don't want to say orange, but yeah, they have a little bit more warmth, a little bit more oranginess in them, while still looking fairly natural. And we're gonna apply this on our lips now. I'm just gonna have to try to remove the matte lip cream first. Even just looking at it, you can see how really shiny it is. It is bound to give us lots of hydration and sort of a little bit more shine to the lips, which I don't mind. Also has a little bit of a scent. I can't quite make it out. It feels like a bit more on the fruity side as well, a bit more sugary, but it's subtle and I don't mind it at all. And yeah, this is definitely one of the ones as well that brings more color to the lips, slightly pushing it into the lips, and I really feel the hydration with this one. It almost has this sort of cushiony, pillowy feel on the lips. It feels like it's really deeply nourishing the lip. And if you can find a shade in this that you love, I think it's fantastic. This is the shade, link in my bio. It's a really funny name because I've shown this on my other platforms quite a few times, and I always like feature the name link in my bio and people get completely confused, which is understandable. But yeah, looking at it, it is absolutely beautiful. I don't think it's too much color. I think actually it's just right. It looks natural. It doesn't really take down the color of my lips, but it's not too much saturation and too much vibrancy either. It's sort of a perfect middle ground. Plus, my super chapped lips are really appreciating the tons of hydration in this. Really feels like a lip mask actually. And they actually do call this shiny lip balm. So yeah, it does feel balmy, and I highly recommend these. By the way, I really want you to pick your favorite of all of these. Which one suits me best, but also which one would you pick for yourself? I would really like to know. Okay, so the last NYX lip product I want to show you is actually one that I think this is my favorite, because I just love the color of this and also love the feel of this. This is actually a formula that was launched well before the fat oils were launched. I think this has been around for a long time now, but these are incredible. And this is the Butter Gloss in the color Madeleine. Just again, removing the current lip. This I actually randomly saw when I was traveling to Vienna. I was in the countryside over Christmas, and on my way back, I dropped by the drugstore and I tried this because I just couldn't believe how beautiful and perfect the color was. This is, I'm going to swatch it here for you before I keep talking about it, the perfect rosy brown natural nude. And this really reminds me of this one here, the Chanel Destination. So I don't know if you can tell. I'm gonna try swatching it on my hand as well, just so you can really get up close. Okay, I just swatched them and it's actually incredible. The one I mentioned it being close to is Chanel Destination, and it's completely right. So here you can see them both next to each other. The shade is almost identical. So this is Chanel Destination, and this is the NYX Butter Gloss in the color Madeleine. To me, this is pretty much one and the same color. Now, of course, with this, you don't get Chanel packaging, but you also don't get Chanel pricing. So yeah, it's definitely one to look out for. And the formula as well is just fantastic. It's a very small doe foot, so you can really be precise. And immediately it feels so nourishing on the lips. And it's that perfect shade where it just slightly lightens up the lips, evens them out, and just makes them look like the lips you already have, but better. You know, they almost have a little bit of beige to them. When you look at light skin tones, they actually have a little bit of brown, a little bit of gray, all these shades mixed together to create your personal skin tone. And these also feature some of those shades. They are a little bit brown, they're a little bit gray, a little bit beige, a hint of peach in there as well. And altogether they just create the perfect nude for someone with sort of my skin tone. But because both of these are very thin formulas, very sheer formulas, they should suit a very wide range of skin tones. And you know, one way to make a nude work for you is to just use the right lip liner first. If you have dark to black skin, you can use a rich, sort of warmer toned lip liner so that any of these shows up even more. But also make sure to check out some of the creators with dark skin or black skin. There's so many incredible creators online, so there will always be someone that you can really relate to in terms of your skin tone. But yeah, I have to say the NYX Butter Gloss in the color Madeleine is also in my top 3. This is so incredibly beautiful. It gives me everything I'm looking for. The perfect color, the perfect amount of hydration, that very natural look to the lips, enhancing them while not looking too intense. So we tried quite a few already, but there's a couple more that I want to show you from the drugstore. For the next one, I'm actually removing the whole lip line, so I can show you how that works as a liner as well. So as mentioned before, this is the Super Stay Ink Crayon by Maybelline, the color Trust Your Gut. And this actually, in comparison to all the other ones, has a little bit more mauve to it. You know, it's a bit more cool toned than the last few ones we swatched. Doesn't have that warmth, that rustiness, has a little bit more, I don't want to say pink, but almost a little bit more blue. But I have to say, as a liner, this works so well, and we're also going to try it sort of all over the lips. Now, what I love about this formula is that it comes in this very thin yet chubby pencil. So it's not quite a lip liner, but it's not quite a full-on lipstick either. And it just allows you to use it for whatever you want to use it for. I have actually worn this even as a blush quite a lot of times. In the summer, this is often in my pocket, and I just touch up with it when I just want a little bit of a sun-kissed look. I just put this on my cheeks, I touch up my... I just got this on my nose. I just put it onto my cheeks. I use it as a lip liner. This is a great option at the drugstore. And because it's from Maybelline's Super Stay range, which we love, it really lasts on the lips, just like the Super Stay Skin Tint does on the skin. So I'm gonna again start in the center and slightly overline the lips, just like this. So again, just connecting to the outer corner of the lip, and it will look intense at first, but wait with this one, because this one you can really blend in beautifully. I'm gonna use it on the bottom lip as well. Just the shape I like, but you would just do the shape you like best on yourself. Open your mouth like this, and then catch the corners. Now granted, this looks intense, and I actually wouldn't really leave the house like this. I like it a lot more subtle. So I just, with my finger, go over the edge and just lightly blend it in. And it honestly blends in so easily. Now you can totally use the lip brush for this, but personally I just don't want to faff around. I'm just doing it with my fingers. And do you see how good that looks? It looks really natural, but enhancing. It was quick. This is a winner. Now you can use this as a lip liner and combine it with any of the other products I mentioned, but you can also wear it completely on its own like this, or we can also try to actually take some on onto the lip, slightly even out the lips. And again, I think now we can really see how it has a little bit more of that mauve shade. You know, it has a little bit more coolness to it. And even though it's a matte formula, it just melts into the lips so beautifully and actually looks like there's almost nothing on the lips. Whereas, you know, the NYX matte lip cream, I could really see in between my lips. It almost caught onto little dry bits. Whereas this formula sort of doesn't. It sort of just melts in and smooths over. Okay, now we have the last two. And one of them is very simply just a simple chapstick. It's a Labello, it's in the color Nude. It's a very sheer tint, but it does give a nice sort of slightly peachy effect. You can see when I swatch it next to the other ones, it actually barely shows up. And actually, even though it is a hydrating lip balm, it's not too shiny. So we're gonna try this on the lips and compare it to the other formulas. I would say straight away when you see the color, it has more peach to it than some of the other formulas, but I'm really liking how that goes on. It again hydrates the lips, but it's not shiny. If you're really afraid of shine, this is a good option at the drugstore. Now it slightly lightens the lips, so if you have much deeper skin than myself, it might be too bright for you, but I can get away with it. I think on me, it looks really natural. And actually, let's compare it to the other swatches I have here. So we have Chanel in the middle, then we have the NYX butter gloss here, and this is Labello. So it's not quite my ideal shade. It's a little bit more peachy. You know, it has a little bit less of that nice gray to it. The Chanel and the NYX have less saturation. They have less color to them. They have more of that gray tone that actually makes them look so sophisticated. Whereas the Labello has more peach to it, and it almost has more of a white base. So it's just not as sophisticated as these colors. But because it's very sheer, I feel like I can really get away with it. And often this is one that I grab because it's just a mindless product. I can just take it, put it on. It always does the job. It looks good. But yeah, it doesn't give me that color refinement, that enhancement that some of the other ones do. Now I want to finish on something slightly different. And this is something I've been playing with. Now I'm not a big gloss person myself. I just often find that when you apply a gloss, you don't have as much control over your lip shape because they often get a little bit funny with lip liner underneath. You know, it's much easier to keep your lip shape exactly the way you want it to be if your lips are a little bit more on the matte or just slightly hydrated side. But as soon as you put on a gloss, you run the risk that you decrease the longevity of anything you put on underneath the gloss. Saying that, I was recently gifted this one from Huda Beauty, and I have actually been enjoying this. Now this is a completely different color than the other ones, you know? This is actually, when you look at it, quite a scary color. It's sort of vibrant, cool toned pink, and it doesn't look like it will look natural on the lips at all. But because this is a gloss and a very sheer gloss formula, it actually manages to look natural on the lips. Now this of course isn't for you if you really don't want any shine on your lips, because in the nature of a gloss, it will make your lips look somewhat glossy. But what I do like about it is that light color that almost sort of creates that milky effect on the lips. So let's just get into it and try it on. Why not? So from experience this past week, a lot comes out. So I'm gonna sort of remove some of the excess and then go onto my lips. You can see that slight milky haze that does exactly what we love when lip products do, which is to slightly take down the redness in our lips. Being a gloss, it really saturates the lips with hydration. And you can really see how, even though I just used a vibrant pink lip gloss on my lips, it actually looks really, really natural. Granted, they do look shiny and you have to be someone that likes that. You know, on those winter days, a little bit of that extra shine and hydration actually is great. And I have been really enjoying playing with this. Okay, so I removed the gloss and applied my favorite Chanel Destination lipstick just for the outro. But yeah, these are all the beautiful natural lip colors that I currently have in my collection. And you can really see how, yeah, they're all pretty much nude, but there's so much nuance to them. There are warmer ones, there are more mauvey ones, there are lighter ones, deeper ones, and there are countless more on the market. You know, there's something for everyone. Picking my top products, of course, I would go with MAC Subculture Lip Liner. This is just my holy grail. And then my top 3 lip shades would be MAC Viva Planet, as well as Chanel in the color Destination, as well as the NYX Butter Gloss in the color Madeleine. If you managed to get to this point of this video, please let me know which one is your favorite, which one are you the most intrigued by, and also which ones you suggest to me. If you already have tinted lip balms, nude lipsticks, sheer glosses, anything like that for your lips that you love and that you want to talk about and share, please let us know below. This is also for everyone else who watches the videos. You know, the comment section is a place where we can all share ideas and really connect and have a conversation. If you want to see more videos like this, please make sure to subscribe and like the video, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, as always. Bisous bisous, yours truly.